as a teammate, you're like worried because it's a serious issue. You just never know how this can go. You hope it's a singular thing and it doesn't continue on, because we've seen things happen like Wendy said about Chris Bosh in the past. And I'm glad Wendy's all right and he's still here with us healthy. But you worry about him as an individual. As a group, it's tough, especially with Chris Ball. We don't know how many more years he has left to play. We don't know if he's coming back to San Antonio next year. De'Aaron Fox came here to be a great duo with Wemby. It hits that, on a different aspect. But for the younger players, it gives them opportunity to grow a little bit more. But playing tournament, that type of scenario for them is very tough to get to without him. I don't see them winning or being in the playoffs this year, but they will get some growth from the other guys. But this is a tough hit overall from an organizational standpoint.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
Okay, Danny agreed. That ship of making the NBA playoffs has long sailed, buddy. With that being said, it sucks to see Victor Wembanyama end his season prematurely. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Victor Wembanyama getting shut down by the Spurs over his blood clot injury. With the Spurs effectively being out of the race for the NBA playoffs, this is now a golden opportunity for them to evaluate the rest of the roster. Remember, the Spurs traded for De'Aaron Fox earlier in the season to form a duo between Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Are you worried about Victor Wembanyama's long-term health for the Spurs? I am a little worried about it. I would be lying to y'all if I said I was not worried about the long-term injury of Victor Wembanyama. Blood clots are no joke. Brandon Ingram had a blood clot his last year on the Los Angeles Lakers. Look at what happened to Brandon Ingram afterwards. He ended up getting traded to the Pelicans. Now, granted, he has been able to bounce back and have a solid career since then, but it's not exactly like Brandon Ingram has grown into a future Hall of Famer. You also look at how Chris Bosh had a blood clot injury as well. It absolutely sucked. It derailed his NBA career. The good news for Victor Wembanyama is, though, he is still young and has plenty of time to recover from the injury. With the Spurs being in 12th place in the Western Conference, it's not exactly like they had a great chance of making the NBA playoffs anyways. Even if they made the NBA playoffs, they still probably would have gotten blown out in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Spurs are just not good enough to be contenders in the Western Conference right now, and that's okay. They still have plenty of time for Victor Wembanyama to develop into an absolute superstar. The man is already one of the best defenders on the planet. It just sucks to see Victor Wembanyama miss out on playing basketball because of a blood clot injury. It absolutely sucks to see Victor Wembanyama sideline, particularly because of the fact that he takes the game of basketball seriously. I often get on today's NBA players because they are lazy to play basketball, but that is not the case of Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama takes every game seriously, and he proves himself to play at a high level. He wants to be great. He always has a chip on his shoulder, and he has a hunger for greatness. That's something that I cannot say about 95% of NBA superstars. A lot of NBA superstars are absolute divas. They look for every excuse to not play basketball, and when they do play basketball, they want to be selfish and be all about themselves. Not in the case of Victor Wembanyama, though. He is absolutely humble. His mind is all basketball all the time. He has a drive to be great. He is one of the best defenders in the world. In fact, if Victor Wembanyama played the entire season, he would probably be the defensive player of the year in just his second NBA season. That's how great Victor Wembanyama has been. I've been amazed watching him play on a nightly basis because he has the ability to change the way how the Spurs play defense. Do not be surprised if the Spurs get significantly worse on defense without Victor Wembanyama on the floor. I also want to show you guys this clip of some doofus named David Dennis Jr. He is a guy that works for Anscape, better known as the Race Bait website. He ended up talking about Victor Wembanyama missing the remainder of the season. He cried about how the NBA should use this opportunity to remove the 65 game requirement for individual awards. It was an absolutely clownish take, but I expect nothing less than to see some doofus on ESPN talking about basketball. Roll the film.
This should be the death knell to the 65-game limit before you get an award. The fact that Victor Wembanyama is not going to be Defensive Player of the Year this year when he was clearly the best defensive player, and he's punished for having blood clots for something that is, you're supposed to punish people for load managing and things like that. This is something that is beyond his control. That should wipe that out. I never agree with that rule in the first place. He should be Defensive Player of the Year, and the 65 minimum is kind of nonsensical to me. But in terms of the league overall, I mean, we've had stars early in their career have injuries. Jordan missed most of his second season. So really, if Wemby can come back, right, you have a true ambassador to the league. You think about him going out and playing chess with fans earlier in the season. You think about the way he embraced the All-Star game, the way that he plays, the tenacity, the skill. You have people like Anthony Edwards saying, I don't want to be the face of the league. And Victor Wembanyama really taking that mantle and saying, I'm next. I'm the next LeBron. I'm the next step. I'm the future of this league. This guy is an irreplaceable guy, and so your hope is that he can come back and still continue to be what seems to be the future and the face of the league, because this is the Wemby era that we are entering very, very soon.
You serious?
Apparently, this doofus named David Dennis Jr. was serious with his take about the NBA needing to use this injury as an excuse to waive off the 65-game requirement for individual awards. The requirements are there so guys don't take advantage and use that for load management, and then cry about not getting individual awards. If you don't show up to work, then you should not be eligible for any awards. Now, granted, do I think the 65-game requirement is stupid? Yes, I think the number needs to be even higher, but it's there because players chose to load manage, so Adam Silver had to come up with a solution to do something. I'm no fan of Adam Silver, but this is actually one of the rare good things he has done for the modern NBA, which is creating a 65-game requirement for individual awards. Now, if somebody like Victor Wembanyama ends up missing out on winning Defensive Player of the Year, well then tough luck. I feel sorry for Victor Wembanyama, but at the end of the day though, you have to show up to play basketball in order to win eligible awards. You can't just show up 50% of the time and say, give me the awards. You have to show up for a majority of the season, and you have to play at a high level. In the case of Victor Wembanyama, it is just unfortunate that he had a blood clot injury. I hope he can recover from this injury long term. Blood clots are nothing to joke about. I hope Victor Wembanyama can get that thing resolved and play at a high level moving forward. I know if it's going to get resolved, Victor Wembanyama is going to be playing like a man determined for greatness. He already was showing signs of that in his first 2 seasons in the NBA. He was the best rookie in the NBA last year, and this year he was on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year on a team that really wasn't that good defensively. The San Antonio Spurs are not really a good basketball team right now, but I was very encouraged with the direction they were going in. I'm excited to see what the future of the Spurs holds. Remember, they're not really that far away from contention. If they can just get one more star and one more good role player, this Spurs team is going to be at least a play-in team, assuming that he can stay healthy. Blood clot injuries are nothing to joke about, but I trust that the Spurs medical team will get it right, which means Victor Wembanyama is going to go back to playing basketball at a high level, and Victor Wembanyama will play like a guy that wants to be the face of the NBA. I'm proud of Victor Wembanyama for trying to play basketball at a high level and trying to show off his durability. It's just unfortunate that he suffered this blood clot injury. At the end of the day though, Victor Wembanyama will bounce back from this injury and play at a high level. So that is why I am not too worried about Victor Wembanyama's long-term health for the Spurs, although it is certainly something to keep an eye on. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.